know anything right away when you do something. You have to like take that first jump. And then as you go, you start to put the pieces together because there's just an abundance of things for you to have to figure out and pieces to put to. It's like you have to, like building a puzzle. You don't just have a complete puzzle. You have to go piece by piece, right? But you have to start with one piece.
Hey, you, how are ya? Welcome back to the Be It Till You See It podcast. I am so excited. I think I say that every episode, and I'm going to keep saying it because, first of all, this podcast is still very new for me. So it's freaking exciting that we get to do this and that you are joining us. And I get to introduce you to some of my favorite people on this planet, including today's guest, Erica Hood, the founder of HoodFit. I cannot even wait for you to listen to this. So what I'm going to say is please check out all of her goodness in the show notes below. She has an incredible fitness company. It's Dance Cardio. It's so fun. I don't even like to dance and I take her classes. And also check out on the gram. You will love her, be inspired by her. She's one of the sweetest people. She just got a puppy. So I'm all about checking out her puppy pics. If you need a puppy fix, that's what you should do. Anyways, what I can't wait for you to hear in this podcast is really how she went from being someone who worked for other people to working for herself. And I think a lot of times we get scared about how do we do that? And we probably wonder, how do you do that? And you're going to hear how she did it. And I think you're going to hear a lot of something that feels familiar to you. So what I want you to do is make sure you're being present, listen to this, and then afterwards let me know how you liked it, because Eric and I, we just really want you to hear this information, hear her story. You're going to hear the interview right after this brief message. Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. I can't wait for our next guest just to start talking. She is one of my favorite women on this planet. And I have to say this, you're someone who I was so intimidated to meet. And when you all hear her voice and start getting to know her, there's like nothing intimidating about her, but Erica has this like elegance and grace and just an ability, and she's beautiful. And we both are ambassadors for this one, fitness business, Carbon 38. And, and you would just take pictures and be so beautiful. And they're like, okay. And they had to like, tell me how to pose everything. They're like, now put your shoulder here, do this. And then Erica, you come up and like, just do all the right things. And I'm like, oh my God, this girl is so beautiful. And then you start talking and you're also so freaking nice. And so, what I can't wait to chat about is like the many adventures we've had together and one of the reasons why I brought you on here. But first, will you introduce yourself? Tell everyone who you are.
Thank you for that lovely introduction. You're so sweet. Hi, everyone. My name is Erica Hood. I am the creator and founder of HoodFit, which is a women's-based fitness company. We focus on moving to the rhythm, connecting to our mind, body, and soul by moving to the music and to the beat. You can expect to get in my classes kind of that dance, Pilates, barre vibe throughout the class. You're going to sweat, move to feel good. It's just all about programming my workouts to deliver to women to connect to themselves on a deeper level. So like, yes, the workout's going to be intense and it's going to be sweaty, but it's going to have you feeling so good from the inside out, that energized movement where you just kind of allow yourself to tap into that place where you have that moment of freedom. And I think that's where like I come from, in that place when you say, oh, you would just jump up and do things, is like I would just move and open up and not think about things. I would just like express myself through movement. So I love sharing that gift with people, and that's kind of what HoodFit is all about, that I've built.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so true because when I have taken your dance classes with you, those cardio dance classes, once I get over the fact that like I can't dance and I just try to keep up, it is so much fun. And you catch yourself smiling and sweating. And I think it's a permission that a lot of women have a hard time giving. So I really love that you are on a mission to do that. We both recently moved to the desert. We're queens of desert life now. We're making the desert look a little different. And I remember because you live in Palm Springs now, and I'm in Las Vegas. We moved about a month apart from LA, and it was a couple of years ago that you and I were on a drive to Palm Springs together to go on a retreat. We had the top down on the Jeep. Maybe this is 3 years. This is before I got rid of my car. And you had just launched your company. And, I want to talk about that story because I think it's really interesting. A lot of people think they have to know all the things all the parts of what they want to do. But when we did that drive, I'm just going to blow it. You didn't know anything about what HoodFit would be. You're just like, I'm launching HoodFit. So can you share a little bit about like what it felt like and what that was like a couple of years ago when you didn't know all the parts?
It really is one of my favorite things because now seeing how far we've come and like what we've built now, I have moments where I reflect back and I'll never forget the drive in the Jeep with you because I literally was like, I think I'm just going to push live and we're going to go live on the phone right now. Like I'm going to launch my socials. Everything's going to be live, like, and out to the world. And I was asking you all these questions like, well, wait, how do I do this? And you were telling me all these like fundamental business things that you were implementing. And I was like, I don't even know how to do that. Well, what is that? And there was this moment that like rushed over me of like, I don't know what I'm doing, but you know what I'm going to do and commit to is that I've worked my way up in all the years of experience that I've had in my fitness professional field, which was already, 8+ years of working for other people and gaining that experience, being the head trainer in other places. But it's different when you finally go off on your own. And when you're building something from the ground up, I think that you just have to take that leap of faith and just dive in again without overthinking it. And you were the best person that could have been in the car with me at the moment, because as much as I felt like there was that part of me going, she's talking all these things in these words and I don't know this fancy business lingo and like what she's saying. And then there was this part of me that says, I just have to do this. And then once I put it out there, I'm going to continue to you're never going to know anything right away when you do something. You have to like take that first jump. And then as you go, you start to put the pieces together because there's just an abundance of things for you to have to figure out and pieces to put to. It's like you have to like building a puzzle. You don't just have a complete puzzle. You have to go piece by piece, right? But you have to start with one piece.
Oh, absolutely. And, I think there's like a curse of too much knowledge and you had like gone live and then we were talking about it. And I was like, oh man, I'm so glad she posted before we started talking about all these things because if I think some people are like, no, I need to know all the information. I think of like, if you ever have read the book by Gretchen Rubin about 4 tendencies, like the questioners, like they have to ask all the questions. And I feel for them because like, having all that information doesn't actually make it easier for you to like take that first step. And in fact, puzzles, like you brought up puzzles, those 1,000-piece puzzles, I don't even buy them. Like you could never even get me. I'm like, that's I don't know. And I have the picture and the steps and you can do the frame really quickly. And I'm like, no, this is too much. I definitely love a messy action kind of taking. And so since then, you've been really working hard and growing this and you have a following and so many people, right before COVID, we were at this amazing event, where you had like rep your womanhood. And I love how you bring women together and how you really encourage them. But I want to go back like pre-HoodFit, pre you being a trainer. Tell us a little bit about like when you were growing up, how you kind of were, how like maybe what there was signs of like you were destined to do this.
Oh, well, I can think back to, it was like middle school days where, you know, I started off as a dancer at the age of 3. And my mom, she tried to put me in sports, and you know, she was like, because I always asked her, I'm like, did I just always dance? Like, did I not ever want to do? And she's like, I would try to enroll you in soccer, and you would say, well, am I going to wear a pink uniform? And my mom would say, well, I can't promise you anything, you know, and I'd say, well, then I don't want to play. So, I mean, I kind of always had this like thing for like wanting to wear fun things and move my body to the music. And I would rush home to catch. Do you remember that show, TRL?
Oh, yeah, I do remember it, but my parents didn't buy cable, so I could only watch it at my grandparents' house.
Oh, I tell you, I would rush home to watch TRL. I mean, this was when music videos were like the thing. And you would watch all of your favorite artists. I mean, Britney Spears, Janet Jackson. I would learn the dances, I would like learn the dances on the thing and like be dancing around in the living room. And like my brothers
before you could even like rewind and like do it again, you had to like learn it on the fly.
You had to learn it on the fly, or if you were lucky, you could get your VCR and record it. Like sometimes I would record an episode of TRL on the VCR, and like I would play it back to learn the steps. And I saw that, like, I just love the performance aspect. I love seeing the artists. The music moved me, and I was like, I want to know those steps. And it was true. There wasn't a way to connect like we can on our phones to find something so quickly and to pause and stop. And so I would learn the dances, and I wanted to be that backup dancer so badly. I like wanted to be that. I saw that. And it was so cool because it came so full circle for me, like many years later, after I had gone to college and I got my dance degree and I focused on that. Then I moved to Los Angeles and I pursued my dance career as a dancer. I got signed with an agent, and I actually got to perform in music videos. And it was just this like,
we have to go into which music videos. People are going to want to know.
I mean, I did some random music videos. For an artist she's not random, Luciana, she's like kind of a techno, like deep house kind of artist. And I did a ton of music videos for her. Like we were doing point work where you're like in your point shoes on the wooden box on concrete for 8 hours. So like my toes were bleeding. I mean, but I was like as much as it was like painful, I was like in this state of bliss, just being like so amazed that like that little girl that would dance in her living room was like now dancing in the music videos with like artists. That to me
other
was just
little
like
girls
the
are
coolest
like watching and like on their tiptoes trying to be, because you know the music videos haven't stopped. They're still going. People are now making TikTok videos of them. You were the original TikTok girl.
This is true. I can't imagine what it would be like if we had TikTok when we were little.
You know, your whole story made me think of, did you ever watch the movie Girls Just Want to Have Fun?
Yes.
Oh, I mean, when they're like changing their clothes on the bus and then they're like going and like watching, I love that movie. I love everything about that movie.
It's so good.
Yeah. So Erica, I think there's a lot of fear in taking that leap and like, what if this doesn't work? So what did you have to tell yourself back when you launched and you really didn't know all the steps? And then even recently, because now you've launched your app, and it's not like, you know, if you build it, they will come. That is not how it works, you all. It doesn't work like that.
No. I wish.
I wish. I mean, I wish. Remember, like probably in the 90s, when everything was new, people would develop something and everyone would come and get it. But now there's just so many things and so many distractions that you have to like really like, it's a risk every time you do something, and it's a real one. And so the fear is real.
Yes.
But what did you tell yourself every time you've taken a leap when you don't know how it's going to turn out?
Well, you know what? The fear is so real. And I have to say, like, I am one that kind of struggles with that, because as much as I am like free spirited and like will go in when something feels right to me and like I felt like when I was younger and I didn't overthink things as much, I was more daring and I did like fear wasn't a thing. Like as you gain more responsibilities when you're older, I feel like everything becomes more real and you're like, oh, if this doesn't go right, like that fear creeps in and then you feel super responsible for like, messing something up. But for me, I had to have a little bit of encouragement from my partner. So, Mr. Jordan Hood, my husband, just like the best, most supportive husband, ride or die, best friend that I've ever had. I remember before we launched HoodFit and like before I went with you on the trip in the Jeep, like officially like put everything up. I love that. I just love that I did that in the car, like top down. I'm like, here we go, we're launching.
I know we had our very expensive lattes, and we were like driving to Palm Springs, letting the sun just really beat on our faces.
We really baked. I was able to do that because I had this encouragement from him. And I have to talk things through. A lot of times I like to keep them inside, and all it does is just like mull around in my head. And then I go into this spiral where it's like negativity and fear. So I started telling Jordan all of these things, and it became this like, well, what if it doesn't succeed? And what if people don't like it? And what if nobody like actually like signs up or like does my workouts or does my classes? And he like stopped me and he goes, babe, you're already doing it. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you already have a client base. You're already doing sessions. You're already teaching people. And you've been doing this for like literally half your life when you started teaching dance at the age of 15. And like, you're just making it official and calling it your business and like doing that. And he goes, and even if you fail, you have me, you have our family's support. So like nothing can really go wrong. It's not like you're going to hit rock bottom. We're not going to let you do that. Like you have to take this and just try, and I'll be here right here with you through it all. And I'm like, okay, like I like needed that pep talk, because then I was able to let go of all those spiraling what ifs and, fear in my head.
I love that you shared the story. I didn't know that you had this conversation with him, but I think it's really important when we play things out in our head, for most people, I am one of the most positive people anyone would ever meet. And if I told you the story that I tell myself with some things, you'd be like, you think that? And it's like, yeah, I'm a human being. We're human beings. Like, and especially you said it, like the more responsibility you get, the more those fears can take hold. Like every time we take another leap and another level, the responsibility of like what we could lose if it doesn't go well, it's a bigger risk. Right. And so, your story reminded me of this time. This is 3 years ago now. It's probably about when you were in my Jeep. We were in Denver, and it was one of the first, events that I've been to where I was brought for the energy and the community, and something I totally aligned with. And I had 85 people in my class, 85. Now I've never taught 85 people at once. Right. And in the front row are people who like had been teaching as long, if not longer than me. Right. And it wasn't like they're like there to be like my front row, like, no, like they were there to support me. But like my brain was like, oh my God, these people they're like so known, they're so huge. And then next to them was a bunch of our friends from Carbon who like had never done Pilates before. So now I've got people who have no idea what they're doing. I've got people who know way too much, and 85 people. And Brad was there, and he was doing the filming, but he was there to help me mic up. And I said, is this thing on? He goes, no. And I said, I'm really nervous. And he's like, why? And he's like, how is this different than anything you're already doing? And I was like, well, when you put it like that, it's like, so ridiculous. But it's so funny because if I hadn't said anything to him, I would have just been nervous. It would have been in my head, like, oh my God, all this stuff. And so I think it's so important. I hope anyone listening, it's like, whatever you're afraid of, whatever's going on in your head, you have to have someone. If it's not your partner, you need to find a friend. If you don't have a friend, well, tell me on Instagram and I'll help you find a friend. Like, like that's something that I really love about like even the communities I created. Like I really want to make sure that there's a space where people know it's like, it's okay to say, I'm afraid I can't do X. Like, because then when you get it out, first of all, like it takes a lot of its power away because nothing that we're creating is like we're not brain surgeons, so
right.
we're not gonna right. Like the reality, like it going wrong is like, we're not saving the world or making a decision about other people's lives. Like it's really all coming from a good spot. So thank you for sharing the story. It's so it like took me back, and it's something that I have to remind myself, and I try to do it more often. I try to tell even my team, like, hey, I'm really worried that we're not doing X. And then they're like, well, here's all the ways that we are. And sometimes you are too close to something to actually see that what you're fearing isn't real. So yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, it's, I think too, because I'm the same as you. I'm a super positive person, but that doesn't mean that I don't have the doubts, the fear, all of that goes into when you're stepping in to your bigger and higher self. When you're evolving as a person, like there's always going to be those moments where you're having like to change, and there's going to be things that are emotionally going on inside you. It doesn't mean that you don't like have your shit together. Like you're still on top of your work and you're still going to show up in the way that you know to show up. But it doesn't mean that on the back end that you're still having those feelings just like everyone else. So it's important for it to be talked about and shared more often.
I agree. I really agree. And I think also like the only way you can get to being the person that you like maybe are thinking is enough, even though you already are enough, is to get out there and do it. Like you can't do it in your head. Like you can't become a better version of yourself just in your brain.
No,
you have to do the actions.
It's all, you have to do the actions, and you have to have good people around you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we are lucky. We have husbands who are very, very supportive and very involved in our businesses.
It's so true.
What would you say? Like, do you have any advice or tips for people who maybe they're single, maybe they're alone, maybe their family isn't super, like my family wasn't super entrepreneurial. So I had to surround myself with entrepreneurs because they're like, why can't you just take time off? You work for yourself. And it's like, I don't think you know what that means. So like, do you have any tips or advice for people who maybe don't have a partner who can actually like calm the fears?
Yeah, I would say, try to start thinking about the circles of people that you're surrounding yourself with. And there was something, I'll bring up Lori Harder because she's such the most icon. I can't say, I almost can't even speak about her because I think I just like, we went to her,
we can talk about that. That was so huge for us. Yeah.
That was huge.
Oh my gosh. So that was okay. So this is probably when we really actually became friends, because there was that modeling thing we were both at together where we talked, and then it was probably a month later, maybe a month and a half later, that we won tickets to go to Lori Harder's Bliss Project. And oh my God, that was a whirlwind. And so you and I were there, we'd won the tickets, we got to do this event, and we'll have to go back and tell more about this. But I remember looking at you at the end of it going, oh my God, we've already done this together. Like we've already been here before, and you and I had never hung out. So why I had this vision of us already being in that space, in that room. And then you looked at me, you're like, I think you're going to win another ticket. And then I did. But anyways, that was a trip down memory lane. So explain to everyone how that helped you.
Okay. So she does such a good job at like putting things together and she's built businesses. She's come such a long way from like a place how when you're talking about like, oh, my family doesn't really understand it or maybe support it. Like she will openly talk about that with her upbringing. Right. And like my family supports me, but maybe they just don't quite understand like this new space that I'm navigating and like the business that I'm trying to build, in a different way. So like kind of taking from stuff that I learned from her too, is like, she'll say like, you have to think about the circles of people that you're surrounding yourself with. You get to choose that. Like, that's your choice. If you're a shy person or not as an outgoing person, you may have to put yourself out there to open yourself up to meet people. You kind of have to step outside of your comfort zone to invest in yourself if you want to really like take it to that next level. And that can mean a lot of things when you invest in yourself. That can mean signing up for, a weekend event like that we went to, where you walk away with tools and encouragement and you meet people there and you network. It can be, meeting people online, joining different communities and groups on these social channels that, there's so many out there. I mean, you can literally find someone that has, a group that has an interest towards yours,
that's the thing. Like, imagine back in the 90s, if you and I were trying to do this back then, there would be like, there was nothing, but now it's just a simple of like, you can look online and find other people that are doing something that you're interested in doing. And yes, it does mean like saying, hi, it's me. Can I be your friend? But that's how like we became friends, was like being in this environment around and like, oh my God, look at all these women who are basically trying to do what we're doing. And that's been like, if we hadn't done that, who knows? So it's like, I love that piece of advice. It's like, you can do a little research, you can find people, but it's so true. Who we surround ourselves with really does make a massive difference in things. And so if you don't have those people like naturally, because of like the way, like the family you have, like you have to seek it out so you can have those people around you to go to.
Yep.
Okay. So before we go into some tips that I know people are going to love because they're so useful, where can everyone follow you, find you, get to know more of you?
So you can find me on Instagram, Erica HoodFit, and then my company you'll see through there as well at HoodFit. We have a YouTube channel that's accessible. We wanted to put workouts for people to do free at any time. You can find workouts there and on Instagram. And then we also have our app, which is just like an even deeper dive into connecting with our Sweat Sisterhood community. And you can find that on our website, which is just at hoodfitlife.com.
Amazing. We will put all these in the show notes. So definitely if you're out on a run, don't worry, just swipe on down. It's right there. Okay. So I believe that being it till you see it is the way things actually get done and the way we actually can have all that we want to have. And I think that, being it is like being bold. It's finding ways to be more executable. It's finding that intrinsic drive in you and also something that's more targeted. So do you have tips on how to be any of those things or how to even just prioritize being it till you see it?
I think, you have to get right with yourself. I think a lot of times we look externally for different things. And I love the whole be it till you see it, because to me, all I hear and see in that is action, taking actionable steps. Like you're saying, like be bold and be all these things. And that to me is taking action. I think a lot of times we can kind of like sit back and maybe like even like journaling and writing things down. Those are great things. So it's so great to like manifest things, but like to actually put into action to make those things a reality is what I feel like a lot of times people are sometimes missing. And, if I'm really kind of like go back and deeper into that, I feel like it's knowing who you are, getting right with yourself, knowing what your mission is, what your values are, what your passion is that drives you, to then be able to open yourself up to take action to get to where you want to be. Like, I feel like it has to start in a deep rooted place.
Yeah. I think that's so true. I think it's, as you were saying that, one thing that I don't know that I knew on a conscious level, but subconsciously is like, you to be it till you see it, you have to be yourself in the place that you want to be. Right. And so you have to the only way to be yourself is to really take some time to get to know who you are and like what that drive is that's out there for you. And I think that it's easy to look externally at others to figure that out and really, going inward and getting clear on that so that you can take that action. I love that so much. I love you so much. I'm so happy for you.
Aww.
I love that we are still like 4 hours away and that we get to have another summer where we go, okay, how hot is it where you live?
I know.
Here we go. Erica Hood, you are amazing. You're one of my most favorite people on this planet. So thank you for taking time to share your journey and your wonderful wisdom with everyone listening. Everyone, until next time, please be it till you see it. That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day. Be It Till You See It is a production of As the Crows Fly Media.
It's written, produced, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Kroll.
Kevin and Belle at Disenyo handle all of our audio editing and some social media content.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to our designer Jaira Mondal for creating all of our visuals, which you can't see because this is a podcast, and our digital producer Jay Pedroso for editing all the video each week so you can.
And to Meredith Kroll for keeping us all on point and on time.